And in the atmosphere of love, welcome to the month of February. I know that in this month there'll be a lot of discussion about relationship, marriage, a lot of preaching, a lot of buying gifts, and a lot of things just, to celebrate love. And who doesn't love love? Everybody loves love. In the spirit of the month, I thought about to share books that I read in 2025 that were very good relationship books. And I think everybody needs to read in this new year 2026 if you have not read them. So I have 5 books on my list that I would highly recommend. And I think everybody should pick it up depending on what season that you are in. So whether you are single, whether you're engaged, whether you're in a relationship, whether you are married, whatever season that you're in, I think everyone needs to read these books. So first is Dating Intelligently by Pastor Laju Iren, a common sense guide to courtship. This book is very, very good. Like, I'm not even capping. It is very good. And a lot of things that she talked about were, the beauty of singleness. She talked about how to have a purposeful single life. She talked about who to marry. She talked about how to prepare for that season. It's like a big auntie gisting you about the basic things you need to know about relationship. I think every single person needs to read this, especially if you plan to get married soon or get into a relationship. It's a very, very good book. I highly recommend everything. She talks about everything: communication, consent, family consent, talks about sex, talks about finances, talks about even being ready. Are you ready as the person? Are you the one? You're looking for the one, but are you also the one? I highly recommend if you're in your single season or just knowing how to date intelligently. The second on my list is by DDK. This book was a gift to me. Somebody gifted me this book and I really, really liked this book a lot. I like it because DDK does justice to this book from a prophetic angle. She doesn't just write it, like the regular way that you expect it. It's more prophetic, more scripture based. I mean, all the books I'm going to talk about, they're scripture based, but like heavy scripture based. I also like that she includes like confessions, scriptural confessions in your single season. She talks about knowing the purpose of marriage, knowing that marriage is God's agenda. It's a kingdom agenda. It's not just for the fun of it, so going in with that mindset. It talks about discerning your season and the power of praying even in that season. She does very good with that. She also includes prayer points. She includes testimonies of people that have gone through some of her marriage classes and just different testimonies in general. She includes that. But this book is a must read for anyone who wants to do marriage God's way, the kingdom way, who wants to do marriage with a kingdom agenda, knowing fully well that it is like a Deborah and Barak alignment. It's like a force. You're coming to do something, and it's just a prophetic book. And yeah, it's in fact the book says a scriptural manual for singles to supernaturally activate their marriage miracle. If you haven't read this, you should. My third book is Love Code by Apostle Emmanuel Iren. I follow him. I definitely would not pass on buying his book. And I mean, aside the fact that Pastor is a very wise and excellent person, I also really like that he doesn't pass off on any topic. If he's going to get into that topic, he will do it excellently. He would give you the foundation for it. He will build up on it. He doesn't just do it shabbily or because everybody says so. And so Love Code is foundations for a strong and lasting marriage. He talks about green lights, how to understand or how to know green lights. He talks about common mistakes that men and women make, when they are trying to find the person. He talks about emotional trauma, the very not usual things you find in relationship books. He digs into it. He also talks about biblical perspective on love and submission, which I think is a very interesting topic or area to dive into, simply because Ephesians 5 has now become the conversation that everybody wants to dig into, Christians and non-Christians. And so having a biblical perspective of love and submission is just very good, especially in this current generation. To change your mindset a lot about a lot of things and help you see marriage and relationship from God's view. So do this for your future self and get Love Code by Apostle Emmanuel Iren. The fourth one is Things I Wish I'd Known Before We Got Married by Dr. Chapman. I think this was my first read for the year 2025. And if I have my way, I should read this book every year, because it just does a very wonderful job at making you pay attention to all the things that you literally not pay attention to. So in this one, he talks about important questions and discussions you need to have, before going into getting married. He talks about things that people just think it doesn't matter because you're in love. So finance, in-laws, church preference, all these things that sometimes you don't pay so much attention to because you're so in love. He talks about these 2 stages of love, and how for him, he struggled because he really didn't know it at the time when he just got married. And he said that the second stage is the more intentional stage. He talks about the euphoric stage, where most times people are just very excited, they're in love, and that stage doesn't typically last more than 2 years. It might be a bit more, but it might also be a bit less. And then, how you have to transition from that euphoric stage to the second stage. And the second stage is pretty much loving more intentionally and loving beyond just the feeling of it. But particularly, he digs into all the things that couples don't pay attention to because they're planning for a wedding. They do not pay attention on, important things or the future about marriage. And so he digs in, says all the things, as deep as who gets to wash the toilet. I mean, he used that as a metaphor, but just going deep into very important things. In-laws. And so let me read one part of the book for you. He says, people do not get married planning to divorce. Divorce is the result of a lack of preparation for marriage and the failure to learn the skills of working together as teammates in an intimate relationship. I recommend highly. My 5th book, the last book, is Covenant Marriage by Dr. Gary Chapman again. And this one I particularly would say is for maybe married couples, or if you're already very close to getting married, is how to build communication and intimacy in marriage. This book, I love it. And I love it for many reasons. Number one is because he really talks about how communication is the road to intimacy. He hits the point on the head about the importance of communication, about the importance of understanding your own self so that you can be able to be the best person for your spouse, so that you can present your best self. He talks about the various levels of communication. He talks about how marriage is a covenant and it's not just contractual. I know, yes, obviously you sign the documents, but much more than that, kingdom marriage is covenant. And he talks about how the same way would place priority on our communication with God, like the reason why you keep communicating with God is to build your intimacy with him. That is also how important it is to keep communicating with your spouse, and that communication is the road to intimacy. I highly recommend these 5 books in the year 2026, particularly in this month of February. So as you are listening to the messages from your church, as you are developing yourself, whether as a single person, someone in a relationship, engaged or married, I highly recommend that you pick up any of these books. So just help you have a better understanding, help you have a biblical perspective. And if you've never ever read any book before, you can start with these ones. And I'm sure that it will bless your life. Do not leave your February to chance and to vibes, or to DC, or to social media hot takes. Allow yourself get knowledge and let God help you through the journey. I hope it helps. Bye. If you have any more books you would like to recommend, relationship books, please put it in the comment section. If you have any questions, you can always drop in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. Bye.